Noah Balta is available for selection and is seemingly back into the senior lineup for the Gold Coast game this week, as reported by Tom Morris earlier tonight. Big news, and it's going to be a little bit controversial, and it's no doubt going to divide a lot of people for both Richmond and opposition supporters. And I just thought we'd have a quick chat about it and just give my thoughts on how it's all played out. Straight off the bat, though, it goes without saying that violence is never the answer. What he did was stupid, it was dumb, it was dangerous, and no doubt if he had his time again, it would have been a different outcome. So we don't condone that in any way, shape or form. I think we just need to make that really clear straight off the top. But I only want to talk about this from a football perspective. I'll give my thoughts about the whole thing once it all plays out in the court. I want to leave that separate. Purely from a football perspective, the club making the decision to play him this week against Gold Coast, I actually think is a really strong and brave call from the club, in a positive way, in my opinion anyway. And the reason I say that is it would have been really easy for the club to fold to the narrative of the media. You've got the Premier putting her 2 cents in. You've got media from all corners of the globe putting their 2 cents in. Opposition supporters, everyone saying, no, shouldn't play. And the narrative from the club, and even Andrew Dillon to an extent as well, the whole time has been, well, he served his punishment. The punishment was agreed upon by the Richmond Football Club and the AFL. That's now been served, so now he's available for selection if form warrants it. Last week, played in the VFL. I always thought that was going to happen. I was a huge supporter of that because he hasn't played since August, any type of football. So to me, the VFL piece made complete sense. It was nothing to do with the case, nothing to do with the incident. It was all about form line and making sure he wasn't going to blow up after 25 minutes. So that was the right call. As is, I think, selecting him this week, assuming the form ticked all the boxes in the VFL. So very brave call, very strong call by the club. I hugely respect the fact they're not caving to the media. We're marching to the beat of our own drum with this. The suspension's been served, and now it's time to welcome him back, and it's time for Balta to earn the respect back from the Richmond supporters, from his teammates, from his coaches, from the wider football community. And he's obviously going through all the different educational programs. He's obviously been remorseful to the victim as well. So he's taking all of those steps, and now it's time for him to return to his job. Okay, because that's what it is at the end of the day. It's him returning to work. So I do actually want to commend the club for taking a bold stance and not caving in to peer pressure. And I actually think in a lot of ways it sends a strong message to the playing group that, we'll march to the beat of our own drum. We're not going to be influenced to make decisions by people outside of the four walls of the club. And it would have been very easy to cave in and not play him this week with the court hearing so close. And on Andrew Dillon, who I mentioned a little bit earlier, I know we've not always been big fans of his decisions and his work on our Monday night show. I do want to say, though, and give credit where it's due, he was grilled about this as well last week, I think it was, about the Balta situation and should he play when it's close to the court date and things like that. And as Andrew Dillon said, when the AFL and Richmond come up with this suspension, and I think just before I go further, it's important to acknowledge and understand that the suspension that the AFL and Richmond come up with was done knowing all of the facts. So when that video emerged a couple of weeks ago, the AFL nor Richmond did not learn anything new about the incident. Balta was upfront and honest about the whole thing, fully transparent, and the suspension reflected that. They took all of that into account. So it's not like they gave a part suspension, saw the video, thought, oh shit, we better double down here. That's not what happened. They knew everything and made their decision based on that. So with that said, as Andrew Dillon mentioned, that when they were talking about and coming up with the suspension, they did it without worrying about or factoring in the legal system and when that was going to play out, because the AFL or Richmond can't control that. There's no point trying to anticipate when the court date might be and then try and schedule your suspension accordingly, because the reality is none of them control it. No one knows if it's going to be adjourned or anything like that. So they just gave the suspension based on the facts that they had of the incident, and it served out. The fact that this court hearing got pushed back, it is what it is. It shouldn't play a part in the suspension any further. As Uze said, and I watched his press conference the other day before the main training session, and the first 5.5 to 6 minutes was him getting grilled about Noah Balta. And I understand it's a hot topic, and I really walked away from that press conference having a lot more respect for Uze and the way he handled himself, because we obviously have a game against an opposition coming up this week. That was what he was there to talk about primarily. But I thought the way he answered the questions and handled himself was really good. Showed support for the player. Also, showed the fact that he did the wrong thing. His time's been served. and we shouldn't really continue to punish him because it's already been served. So just want to, yeah, I thought it's just an interesting, it's going to divide a lot of people, this selection of Noah Balta, but I reckon it's the right call and a brave call from the club. They're going to cop a lot of backlash from their own supporters, from opposition supporters. I'll probably cop backlash for this video from supporters, but we're all able to have different views. And like I said, just because a club's welcoming him back to play, it doesn't mean they condone the actions. The actions they already showed they didn't condone, they already suspended accordingly. So I think it's important that when people give comments or make comments on posts or videos or whatever in relation to this, make sure you consider all of the facts that are there. Make sure you have that level of understanding that the punishment's already been done, it's already been seen through, and now this is the next phase of it. So yeah, Richmond Football Club selecting Noah Balta this week. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I know that can be a bit of a loaded question, but very keen to hear what Tiger supporters are thinking. I know from a football standpoint, he's going to add a massive amount to our backline. With experience, he's obviously a very, very good player, one of our highest paid players on a long contract as well. And yeah, now the ball is well and truly in Noah Balta's court to earn back the respect from everyone in the footy world. And it all starts for him this week, round 6 against Gold Coast. So I'm sure we will all be watching with very, very keen interest. So yeah, let me know in the comments below. Are you happy for Balta to be playing? Yeah, what do you think? Let us know. And yeah, we'll see how it goes against the Suns on Saturday night.